Hello, how are you? We're back. Okay, we continue with this topic of the variety of living things, and we are going to see today the other three kingdoms that we didn't see the other day. So, the last day we saw the animals and the plants, and today we're going to start with the Protista and Alga kingdom. So, Alga and Protista kingdom. We divide this group in two, and you are going to know why. So, algae are unicellular or multicellular living things. So, they can be formed just by one cell or by more than one cell. Okay, multicellular or unicellular. They don't eat other living things, so they make their own food. This is the main distinction we can do among algae and protozoa. Okay, so they don't eat other living things. They make their own food. They're quite similar to plants. Okay, very good. And even they are formed. Some of them are formed by more than two cells, so they are multicellular. These cells do not organize themselves forming tissues and organs, okay? They have a different type of organization. We are not going to study, but just for you to know, algae don't have tissues, nor organs, nor systems, okay? So they have a different type of organization. Important things that you need to know. They make their own food, just like plants, and they can be unicellular or multicellular. That's it. And now we're going to see the protozoa. Okay? These protozoa are just unicellular living things. So all of them are formed by one cell. They eat other living things. So they don't make their own food, they eat other living things. And if they are formed by just one cell, they are microscopic. So you need a microscope to see it. Okay? Very good. And you have here two common examples of protozoa. We've got the amoeba, that is this one that appears in blue, and the paramecium. Okay, this is the other one. So these are the most common examples of protozoa we can find. Okay, very easy. Protozoa, unicellular, and eat other living things. Very easy. So this is all we need to know about algae and Protista kingdom. Now we're going to move on to see the bacteria kingdom. And bacteria is important to know that they are the simplest organisms on Earth. So the simplest living things on Earth, because there are we're going to study later, another different types of organisms that we cannot call them living things, but the simplest living things on Earth are bacteria. Bacteria, okay? They are unicellular organisms, if they're the simplest, but one thing that you need to know in bacteria, the nucleus of the cell is not defined. So the nucleus is not a nucleus focused in one point. So it's all over the cytoplasm. Okay? Very good. And they produce their own food, some of them, and other bacteria eat other living things. So we have both types of bacteria. But the most important thing for you to know is that bacteria are the simplest organisms on Earth, and they are unicellular organisms, but their nucleus is not defined. That's very important for you to know. Very easy. Now, fungi. The fungi, they are unicellular. There are unicellular and multicellular fungi, okay? The majority of fungi we know are like mushrooms and these things that are obviously multicellular, but there are all other unicellular fungi, just like yeast. Yeast is the thing you use to when you bake bread or a cake and you want it to rise, you add yeast. okay? And that's a fungi, that's a fungus, okay? And they don't eat living things, but they don't make their own food either. So what do they eat? They eat living things that are already dead, okay? So they live on the ground, on very wet ambiances, environments, and all the living things that die get decomposed and they eat that, okay? It's important that you know that they can be unicellular or multicellular, and they eat dead living things. Dead living things, okay? Quite easy. I think that's all we need to know. And that's all the class we have today. You need to do at home on your notebook a mind map with the classification of the different groups with examples for you to have it clear, okay? It's very simple, but you need to study. And I think that's all we need to know by now, okay? So that's all. Thank you very much for being there and see you soon. Bye.